Hello, thanks for dropping in. If you remember, I was playing a little Monopoly or Monopole on this Commodore 64, but it had no sound. So that either means the SID chip is dead or it's not there. And I'm not sure what the answer would be yet. Anyway, I hunted about and found my Torx bit, because it's a Torx screwdriver. That was, of course, what Commodore did as time went on to prevent people from getting into their 64s. Not that it really stopped people, it just went and bought Torx bits. The same that were needed on cars to change a headlight. Maybe one size smaller, perhaps. Anyway, let's see what we have here. First, I will give things a little power. Alright, I think we have power. Okay, we have power. I will turn this 64 on. We will see that it is working. I'm going to crank up the volume. Because sometimes I think that's feedback. Hang on. Sometimes sometimes that too will tell us if we think the SID chip is there. But I don't, well, it's either dead or it's not there. I don't know. Anyway, so, of course, we very carefully unplug the power, drop the joystick. Actually, I've got to test this joystick more thoroughly. I will put it in a box. As I am in the box room. Oh. Anyway. Okay, one thing. It is really not good to drink around these things. I did have, oftentimes you might see a big sort of milkshake cup around me. That's because I like things cold, and I like them to stay cold. So I typically fill it right to the top with ice, then add in water or something else. I'm trying not to drink Coke, but you know, sometimes it doesn't go well. Certainly, my Coke drinking habit was not helped by my week on the movie, because I must admit, I was so tired. Okay, so here we have 3 little torches. Now, these cases also have a little extra something that holds them on the side, so you have to pry them gently but firmly to get them to release. Okay. So there, oh boy, this is a dusty mess. This one is. Ugh. So what do we got? Okay, so we're back to a regular screwdriver. And I believe that this machine is one of the 64Cs that has the SUPER PLA chip, which I despise. I think I told you I was at my electronics store, and I thought I found sockets that would fit this fine chip. And they have the right number of pins, but they do not fit. Okay, so there is the keyboard. Yes, it is loaded with dust. And now, now we're back to the Torx bit. 2 screws. Oh, there's a dead bug in here. So 2 screws to get the keyboard out. And then a bunch more Torx screws. I think it might be 7. I think. Oh. And of course, they are not the easiest things to get out. I think I will disconnect the LED. See, it's funny, this one here, this case, I can tell they were ready for this to have a bigger board in it because it has the long wire. Those that they knew was going to have, or were going to have the short board, and the Super PLA had a very short wire on the LED. So this computer, if I so choose, I could put a long board into it. Alright. Well, maybe it's, no, it is 7 screws. But this one, oh, it is dirty and dusty. It has had a hard life. The outside of the case is a little yellowed. Alright. 4 screws in the back. 3 in the front. No, I don't need that on at the moment. Okay. And here comes the shielding. So before I drop the screws, I will get the screws out all the holes. And once again, here is more dust. Oh, that's here. So indeed, oh yeah, dust city. Yes. Indeed, there is a SID chip. And there is a Super PLA. Dust. So my guess is, oh, and more bugs. More bugs. Well, I guess now this should just come out. So let's have a look. Dust. Crap. Anyway, looks pretty good from the bottom. It's funny, you know, one time I almost, one of the worst times I ever had at the computer store in Florida, this fellow had been primed to come in for essentially a fight. His 64 had been in trouble, big trouble. It was one of the few times he said, you know what, we'll just order another circuit board from Commodore and plug it in. That's what we did. And anyway, then he comes back and tells me that we have given him a used board. And the reason he decided this is because on some of the critical connections, the joystick, the power switch, the power connector, where else? Oh yeah, the video and serial cables. It looked like the solder had been beefed up and there were signs of a little flux. Which of course, after probably having who knows how many 64s returned, because the connections would end up with a cold solder joint because joysticks were going in and out, etc., 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 they decided to beef up the solder at the factory. Anyway, but this guy, he had been primed by a supposed competitor who was just looking to send him in for trouble. Anyway, so what I ended up doing is I opened up a brand new 64 and showed him, look, it's the same. But still, he was adamant, and he was a pain, and he was horrid. And was one of the only times that more bugs. that I basically just walked away. Because I'd said to him, is there anything I can do to satisfy? Because he was just, you know what, a little knowledge is dangerous. And he had been primed by this other fellow that we had ripped him off, and we had not ripped him off. We did the best thing for him considering all that was wrong. Oh, so frustrating. Anyway. So, yes, there are times when it is best to walk away and let somebody else do the dealings. Alright, so here we have the board. They are challenging to get back into the case, but there it is. Back in the case. Alright, so we need some power. And we need the video signal. And I also could certainly use my dead test cartridge. But it's on the table downstairs and I really can't get at it at this moment. So the 64 comes up. It's all good. What I'm going to do is connect the keyboard. At least I think I am. Alright, keyboard connected. Disk drive, cable in. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn on this disk drive. And I'm going to load the directory. You know what, there's one thing I wanted to do before I did that. I'm going to turn the computer off, lift the keyboard out of the way. Now, this screwdriver will not do. I should have another one here. I should have. Oh dear. It's funny how when you sometimes get organized, let me try. I really don't want to break the screwdriver or hurt the chip, but I'm going to very gently, with great care and reverence. Pull this SID chip out. Just make sure that the pins are all fine and it's in the right way. And I will reseat it, and this will make no difference. It will not. But I feel better doing it. Okay, it's back in. So, turn it back on. This time I will just load.